Okay. All right, exercise. The first question I'm going to ask in this presentation is this question. So, Hannah, if you don't mind, you might have to run around and answer this question. So, this is the question. Okay, I'm going in the opposite. If I eat right, why should I exercise? What is the purpose of exercise if I eat right? Because what I learned through my life is 90%, Hannah, you could disagree with me, 90% of weight loss comes from food or what you eat. About 10% of weight loss for me personally, because my metabolism is completely shot, I think, and it comes from exercise. So my question to people, what's the purpose of exercise? Why should we exercise if 90% of weight loss comes from your intake of what you eat and what food you eat? Anybody have an answer?
But exercise is not for weight loss. It's for a health of your body, the systems in your body, your heart and lungs, all that.
While I do need to lose weight, I don't think we should always talk about food and exercise and tie it to weight loss, right? There's lots of other benefits. So for exercise, like my mom, she's been exercising regularly since she was 62. She's now 89 and she's completely mobile. And that's because she's been exercising. So I think that's a big benefit.
Okay, I'm done with my presentation.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
We are designed for the Creator to be in movement.
It also helps our health, like blood sugar, especially if you exercise right after eating, like even little movements, that really helps.
All right, very, very good. Because this is Google is a great resource. If you are in doubt with anything, you go Google it and you find information. It's amazing. And I have experienced it. So I don't have to say this is just from Google itself. It is something that I have experienced. This is the first thing that I would like to talk about. Manages chronic disease. The first time, I don't remember, 2018, I think, when I was diagnosed with A1C 6.7. So I said, okay, I don't want to do, I hate pricking myself. I can't imagine pricking yourself. I have watched my parents do that all the time. Okay. So I don't want to prick myself. So I said, what can I do to get out of it? So my doctor, my Kaiser doctor, told me, okay, he gives me glucophage and the Trivastor, I think, for the cholesterol. So he gives me glucophage. I said, okay, that's for diabetes. But what is a Trivastor for? He said, well, if you have diabetes, then you're going to have cholesterol problems, so we're going to give you that. I said, man, to start off, just you have diabetes, they give you another medicine because of diabetes. I said, no, I'm not doing this. So guess what? I started exercising. And that didn't really work well because, like I said, exercise doesn't really get you to lose weight. So then I started managing. My son downloaded this app, and if I say I'm not losing weight, the first question he would ask me is, guess what? What did you eat? That's the first question he'll ask me. Are you tracking your food? I'm sorry, I'm stepping into your area a little bit. And believe it or not, certain type of cancers can be managed. We were talking to Yuvi. I hope she doesn't, I'm sorry, I mentioned name. But anyway, we were talking to Yuvi in her home and visiting about Mata. She said, Mata had this disease for such a long time. Because of her lifestyle, she might have managed to suppress the disease. We would never know. But the thing is, what I'm saying is, certain type of cancers can be controlled by exercising. And I know for a fact, high blood pressure, you exercise, it opens your vessels up, and you begin to lose your blood pressure. My blood pressure is always normal. My blood pressure, it was borderline high before I started exercising, but then as I begin to exercise, it is perfect. It just comes down. The next benefit, increases your normal good cholesterol. man, how difficult it is to get good cholesterol. But when you exercise, it depletes triglycerides, and your good cholesterol increases. I mean, that's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing. Especially when I find men and women who are struggling and who are going through cardiac issues and everything else. I'm looking at them, I'm like, man, I don't want to be in this situation. And reduces cardiovascular disease. Every heart disease can be controlled. But it does take a lot of work. It does take a lot of work. When I say to my wife, I'm going for biking, I'm gone for 2.5 to 3 hours. You know, if I go anything less than 30 miles, I feel like I have not done enough. 30 miles is like my optimal mark. So, so exercise. How well you exercise. The next is strengthens your immune system. And it's seems so strange and contradictory to me when I think about this way. When I have a cold and I'm having respiratory problems, I don't used to exercise, but now I tend to exercise. You know what it does? It forces your your lungs to expand. As your lungs expand, what it does is it actually reduces the disease, your cold, your symptom of being sick. I don't know why it works that way. It's very contradictory. You feel very short of breath and you don't feel comfortable enough to climb a flight of stairs, let's say. The moment you start climbing the flight of stairs and you go up and down and you start, exercising, then immediately, my sickness, I have reduced amount of time because of sickness from the past to the present. Don't ask me why it works. It works, especially if you got a shortness of breath, and when you feel combating, trying to figure out how to overcome the shortness of breath, force yourself to exercise. And my daughter was, I was talking to her. She usually when she drives up, she talks to me. She said, "Appa, I was not feeling well. I didn't feel comfortable, so I just went 40 minutes to exercise." So it's something happens. I don't know scientifically what happens is it combats depression. I can't relate to it as much, but the thing is, when you're looking good, when you're feeling good, there is only positive energy that can come out of it, right? Because you can't have depression, you can't feel anxiety, you can't feel, it gives you a good emotional well-being, right? It gives you the completeness. And let me make sure I'm not running over my slide. Oh, when I feel, some days, I eat unhealthy. And I'm sorry about this. Maybe not people aren't going to like me. Sometimes eating at the fellowship lunch is not the greatest and grandest food for us to be eating. So when I eat, then I feel lethargic. I go home and I'm tired. I just sleep all day long in my lazy chair. Then I get up and I'm ready to go to sleep. Guess what? Because of the lifestyle I have chosen to live, when I feel like if I sleep, I won't sleep good, I actually will start exercising. I will exercise almost 50 minutes, and when I exercise that 50 minutes, it actually helps me to sleep. There's a word called retroactive sleep. Let me pull my phone up because I like what it said, and I want to be able to read it. So give me a minute, and I will pull it up. Because this was like eye-opener for me. In the retroactive sleep, when you can get into that type of sleep, it says muscle repair happens, your immune function gets boosted, and it gives you better memory and attention because you sleep. Deep sleep helps you to sleep up. Sometimes you sleep for like 3 hours, then you wake up and it's like, wow, I felt like I slept for 8 or 9 hours. Stress reduction, increased overall well-being and vitality. I can testify to all of these things because I'm not speaking from just from what I searched and what I found, but this is actually my life. Because, my wife will come into the bedroom, oh, you start exercising again. Yeah, of course, because the reason is, if I don't exercise, I know I will not feel like I slept. Even though I slept like 7 hours, I would not feel like I slept. Then, so why do we exercise? Muscle maintenance. Because when you take on the task of weight loss, you don't lose only fat. Unfortunately, you lose muscle mass too. In order for you to retain that muscle mass, you got to do muscle maintenance. That comes through exercise. So diet and exercise are synergetic. So, and I wrote that word down too. By creating powerful health benefits greater than the sum of their parts, a balanced diet provides the fuel and nutrients for exercise and muscle repair, while exercise increases the metabolism, burns calories, and improves the body's ability to use those nutrients. So this is the balance. You eat right and you exercise, you lose the calories and you gain the weight, gain the muscle, and that helps you to do weight management and your overall well-being. So the question is always asked, what is the recommended amount of exercise that somebody should do? That all depends on each individual person. I remember, Hannah, one time I think you had Alan's wife up here, and Ollie up here, and she was saying that while you're sitting on your chair, you just lift your legs up. Take intentional. In my phone, I have 3 different timers set on my phone. 16 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So depending on what task I'm working on, I will set my timer on. Because depending on what I'm doing, I will stop. My timer will go off, I'll stop, and I'll conscientiously do something different. Because the reason is, we are so caught up in this world, and we sit, at least most of us in our workforces, we sit all the time. Unless I have my timer on, I don't remember to stand up. It could be hours before, because I would just want to finish what I'm working on. By setting up these different timers, it helps me to say, okay, I got to stop. I got to stand up. I got to move. And if you are going to do exercise, which is recommended, there's a different types of exercise: aerobics, muscle strengthening, balance. As I'm becoming older and older, it is important for us to do balance exercise in combination with aerobics and muscle strengthening. You don't want to just do muscle strengthening. You don't want to do only aerobics. You want to be able to balance these exercises out and exercise in a way that balances to your lifestyle. Because you don't need to jump up, I say 30 miles is nothing for me, going on a bike. I didn't get there when I jumped on the bike. I remember I still watch myself going on a bike, and I'm looking at this hill, I'm saying to myself, there was a time when I said to myself, I would never conquer that hill. I actually would say to myself, no, I'm not. If I ever rode that hill, I was huffing and puffing. I thought I was going to have a heart attack, But I'm just saying that to you, it's not an easy journey. It's not something you can get out and say, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. It's going to take a lot of work. And timer is something that works in my favor for me. Whenever I set my timer, it actually tells me, okay, I'm going to do it for 30 minutes. When the timer ticks down, it actually tells me, okay, I got only 20 minutes left. I got 10 minutes left. And if you got a nice song or something that occupies your mind, by the time the song or something is finished, then your exercise is almost completed. And do the balance exercise. My kids make fun of me all the time, especially when I'm walking or doing something. My daughter always tells me, you got to be healthy. You got to carry my kids. You got to take care of my kids. But what I'm trying to say is, it is something vitally connected to diet and the way we live and what we do. And please set yourself a timer, because time runs so fast for us. Unless you have conscientiously chosen to take that time to look and exercise, you won't have the time. I think this is my last slide. I just want to double check and make sure. Yep, that is my last slide and my last presentation. I didn't want to take too much time. I wanted to take about 15 minutes. I think maybe I took about 20 minutes. Any questions from anybody else? Because if you are interested in asking, please ask, because if I can, I'll answer them, but I'm not an expert in the subject, so, but.
Can you show us some exercise, balance exercise? One or two?
I'm sorry. What did you say? Balance exercise. Can you show us? Oh, I don't know. Hold on. This is what they said. This is not some. Oh no. Are you talking about demo?
Yeah.
Yeah, one or two. One of the most difficult exercises one of the difficult exercises I have is because I had an incident with my feet. So it's very difficult for me to balance on one feet. But something, why not? Okay, so this is something I practice all the time, lifting my leg up. Because people who know me, it's not easy for me to stand on one feet. So that's something I consistently do, and it does improve me. If I have my shoes on, it's even a little better. Oh,
They say if you cannot balance on one leg, it's because you are deficient of vitamin B12. Is that true? I don't know.
you know, Anja?
It may be one of the symptoms, but don't rely on it. Everybody should have their levels of vitamin B12 measured, or you should be on a supplement, or you should be eating some foods that are fortified with vitamin B12, either one of these options.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, New Begin. That was awesome. How many of you have tried exercising only to find out that your body is so sore, you're not able to continue, and it threw you off the schedule, and you just lost the momentum, and you never came back to the exercise regimen? Anybody can relate to that? Guess what's the answer? Number one is being persistent and consistent with your exercise routine, and you build up the endurance over time. But also, you need to work on your nutrition, because if your nutrition is too acidic, your muscles will just be sore much more than if your diet is a little bit more alkaline. So, if you can, Marcus, bring up the slides, I will talk about how it is important to eat alkaline foods, to lose weight, to boost your metabolism, to boost your physical performance as well. Studies show that there's an exponential relationship between dietary acid load, how the diet is acidic, and the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. In other words, the more acidic the diet is, the higher the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Now, what are the acids in the diet? In order to calculate the acids in the diet, it's called the potential renal acid load. It's a function of protein, phosphorus, and you subtract potassium, magnesium, and calcium. So if you look at how the acidic load increases, those are the sources of protein and especially high in phosphorus. Which foods are those? Animal protein sources, right? It's not the plant sources of protein, because you're subtracting potassium, which is mainly in plants. You're subtracting magnesium, which is also mainly in plants, and calcium. Let's look at some of the foods. When we look at animal foods, beef, 7.8. Don't worry about the units. These are called milliequivalents, but you don't need to worry about, it's just units. 7.8, chicken, 8.7, salami, 11.6. So let's say 10 so that we can remember it well. But there are some foods that are even higher than meat. and that's cheese. Cheddar, 26, and Parmesan, 34. So 3 times higher than meat. And when we look at plant foods, the acidic load is much lower. Let's say rye bread, 4. So the numbers are still positive, but less so than with the animal products, much lower. Now, sugar, kind of neutral, around 0. And now we're getting into negative numbers. Potatoes, -4. Carrots, -5. That means that these foods are not acidic, they're alkaline. They're helping you cope with what's being built when you exercise. Lactic acid as a byproduct, right? And you hear the word acid. So in order to help your muscles get rid of the extra acid that's being built during exercise, shifting the balance toward alkaline really helps with muscle recovery. And the champion among plant foods is spinach and all the leafy greens, -14, highly alkalizing food. Have you ever seen alkaline water in a grocery store? Yeah? Yeah, some people buy cases of these, but the alkaline water cannot turn your pH balance, by far as much as food. So if you're looking for a quick way to make your pH more alkaline, you just put mint in your water, or you do a green smoothie, and you shift your pH balance much more quickly. Why is it important? Well, let's just compare 2 different meals. Ham and cheese sandwich, 42 milliequivalents. Baked potatoes with spinach, -23. So that's a difference of 64 milliequivalents. Now let me show you the difference, why it's important, and how it will play a role in physical fitness. But just to give you a quick visual, all the animal products are acidic. Oops. So meat and cheese and eggs, all of them are acidic. Bread and rice and pasta, slightly acidic, but not as much as animal products. Beans are alkaline, fruits and veggies are alkaline, and the leafy greens are the most alkalizing food. Now, we decided to look at this in one of our research studies. We had 244 overweight people, and half of them went on a vegan diet for 16 weeks, and the other one stayed on their usual diet. And we, as expected in the control group, they didn't lose any weight, but on the vegan diet, they lost 14 pounds on average in 16 weeks. That's roughly a pound a week. And most of the weight loss was because of fat loss. And now we also measured how much their acids in the diet decreased, and you see an incredible drop on the vegan diet. So the vegan diet was much more alkaline, which was also associated with the weight loss. Each 10-unit decrease in the acidity of the diet was associated with 1.7 pound weight loss. And after adjustment for energy intake, it was still associated with a 1.5 pound weight loss. And when we looked at how much it was able to explain overall weight loss, only the shifting of the diet from acidic toward alkaline was able to explain 26% of the weight loss on the vegan diet. So the vegan diet is much more beyond calories, and calories in, calories out. The alkalinity of the diet, the fruits and vegetables and the legumes really help with the pH balance. We also analyzed the dietary acid load in other conditions, and it's helpful even in people with type 1 diabetes. But one area that I'd like to touch on is physical performance. In one experiment, they took athletes And they gave them either an animal-based diet, which was high in acids, in dietary acids, and the other group was eating more fruits and vegetables. It was not a vegan diet, but much higher in fruits and vegetables. And they found that when people ate more fruits and vegetables, their physical fitness increased by 21%. In the same people, in these athletes. And in another study, each 10-unit decrease in dietary acid load was associated with a 5% enhanced endurance. So back to our two meals, the ham and cheese sandwich versus baked potatoes with spinach. There was a difference of roughly 60 milliequivalents. So if each 10-unit decrease increases your endurance by 5%, if you take the 60 units difference between the two meals, how much of a difference would it make in your personal endurance and physical fitness? How much of a difference can it make to eat the baked potatoes with spinach instead of the ham and cheese sandwich? So, you're eating breakfast or lunch, you have always options, and let's say you go for the baked potatoes with spinach instead of the ham and cheese sandwich. How much endurance, would be enhanced instead of eating the ham and cheese sandwich? 30%, yes, good math. Is 30% a little or a lot? Just by changing your meals, I think it's just phenomenal. So, obviously, plants give you so many benefits. They're rich in fiber and antioxidants. They don't have any cholesterol. Plant protein itself is helpful for longevity. They're low in saturated fatty acids, and they're also good for your pH. So why are you vegan? Well, next time somebody asks you that question, you can say, because I care for my pH, or I'm getting my PhD, I'm getting my pH diet. And with that, let me open it up for questions, and then hand it over to Joy. Any questions? Eating more alkaline foods.
Irish potatoes, are they more acidic? I saw you have it there with the spinach and the potatoes, but I thought they were acidic too. I know the sweet potato is not acidic, but I'm not sure for the white potatoes.
Even the white potatoes are alkaline. They're -5, they were on the slide. So even white potatoes are an alkaline food, which is good news for everybody who loves potatoes.
Great presentation. What is the impact of alkaline water? Is there any percentages that we should know about? And if there is a preferred water that we should be drinking, what would you say that is?
Yeah, the alkaline water, it's not bad. If you like the taste, go for it. I'm just saying it will not be as effective in changing your pH balance as the diet. So if you'd like to keep drinking it, please do. But if you just put mint in your water or cucumber, that will shift your pH balance faster, or a green smoothie.
And what about the lemons in the water?
Lemons are good. They're alkaline. Even though they taste sour, they're alkaline. It's one of the fastest way to shift your pH balance toward alkaline. Great question.
What about the milk and yogurt, the byproducts of?
They're on milk and yogurt. All the dairy is on the acidic side. And especially cheese, which is much more concentrated, is even more acidic than meat.
Dates. they alkaline?
Yeah, absolutely. All the fruits and vegetables are alkaline. So all the fruits and veggies will help you with your pH balance. But the leafy greens are just the champion.
Thank you. As far as a plant-based diet, you're able to get 100% of all vitamins, minerals, and everything from a plant-based diet, right? You don't need a tablet or a pill, right?
That's an excellent question. If you're on a completely vegan diet, you need to be careful about your vitamin B12. That's the only vitamin you need to be really careful about. So either you get it from certain foods, such as nutritional yeast, from some fortified foods. You can get a supplement. It's a water-soluble vitamin, so and the supplement is inexpensive. Or you just measure your blood levels on a regular basis.
I think there may be a misconception about pineapple, because some people think it's acidic, but is it alkaline after it digests in our system?
That's a great question. You know, certain fruits and vegetables may be on the slightly acidic side, but nothing like the animal products. So I would say don't worry about it. You know, if you eat a variety of fruits and vegetables, most of them will be alkaline with just a few exceptions, and I wouldn't worry about those exceptions. Any other questions? Lisa.
I'm sorry, everyone. I brought mac and cheese today.
We forgive you, Lisa. And I bet people enjoyed it, so don't worry.
Yeah, so thanks for a great presentation. So how can someone strike a good balance? That is, because I'm just imagining that we need an alkaline diet, but we also need some elements of acidity. I am not too sure. Or should we simply avoid anything acidic?
Yeah, great question. Do you have to avoid everything acidic? No. You know, even some of the grains are slightly acidic, so you will not be able to avoid everything on the acidic side. But you know, does it make sense to avoid the major sources of dietary acids? You know, it's an individual choice, but I think it makes sense.
I have a question. All the vegetables, you say that all the vegetables are alkaline. But when we put oil, fry food, for example, the fries affect the alkalization, is converted in acid food?
It's a great question. I don't have the answer to that. I don't know how it shifts the alkalinity versus acidity. I don't know.
I had a condition that made me anemic, and I was, fruits and vegetable, and it couldn't change. I had to eat the red meat. What would you suggest? I mean, I went to my doctor, he said, just do whatever. I went to the red meat, and anemia was changed. So what would you suggest?
Yeah, that's a great question. Anemia is, you know, as frequent on a vegan diet, on a lacto-vegetarian diet, and in non-vegetarians. Most of the time, the cause is something like heavy bleeding in women or bleeding in the gastrointestinal tract. So the first step is find out the source, why a person is anemic. And of course, you need to replenish, you know, the iron. And you can do it through supplements, you can get it IV, you can get it from different foods. Like there are many different ways, but the number one question is, why did you become anemic? And once you find the source, usually, you know, if you can fix it, if there's bleeding in the gastrointestinal tract and you just fix it, then you're no longer anemic.
And we also have like plant-based products that are, you know, that can replenish your hemoglobin. Not necessarily have to be animal products.
That's a good point.
So that's what she said. Her question is that they asked her to eat meat to replenish it. So she's asking, what are the food that contains a lot of iron? Could be beans.
The dates definitely has a lot of iron.
Yeah, it's possible to replenish your iron even with only plant foods. You don't have to eat meat, but supplementation usually helps in those cases the fastest.
There is a supplement called Alkalite. I don't know if you've heard of it. My doctor recommended it. I can't remember it right now, what it contained. But I ran a lot, and my doctor recommended that I use Alkalite to alkaline my body. It's a supplement.
Yeah, we can look at the composition, but if you want to save money and use spinach instead, then.
They couldn't hear her question.
There is a supplement called Alkalite, which is supposed to shift your pH balance, and we don't know the composition, but we can look it up. But I'm just saying, if you want to save money, the fastest way is to eat spinach and leafy greens.
Right. Okay, thank you, Hannah. Well, this is the last presentation, so please stay. Well, 10 to 12 years ago, my husband met with an accident. His leg had to go through multiple evaluations by orthopedics, and he had to have surgery. He had a crush injury. The doctor actually told me that he has to walk with crutches. He'll be limping. A lot of things. But just 1 year before that, we had started him on he started on a vegan diet. Okay, so God actually prepared him, I guess, because his hemoglobin was really good with plant-based diet. He was eating a lot of smoothies every day with greens and nuts, and I don't know how God prepared him, but when he had to have the surgery and when he came back, after a couple of days of hospitalization, I was doing a lot of research, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, my husband will not be able to walk properly, and that was my greatest fear. So, we all prayed for him, obviously I told him, nothing doing. My brother set up a bed for him at the first floor. I said, nothing doing, you will have to climb up the stairs and go with one leg. So my husband tried so hard. He ate pure vegan diet. People would bring him all this lamb leg soup, all these non-veg. But we avoided all that, and he started eating healthy food, vegan food, smoothies, and he started walking. He started exercising. He started doing a lot of balancing. And I know you all were asking about balancing, standing with one leg. And especially he'll stand with the weaker leg. He'll walk through this narrow road with both legs crossed to each other. I don't know how he would do it, because I am unable to do it with the strong, legs. But the other thing that he does is spend time with God. I am really grateful for a husband who spends a lot of time with God. With that being said, his exercise routine has become very good. He's healthy. He goes to the doctor, and the doctor prescribes a medication, and the doctor asks him, are you taking your medication? Your hemoglobin level, hemoglobin A1C looks great. But he does not take the medication. With exercise, with diet, he balances it out, and I thank God for that. But now, when we were talking to Hannah, we said I would go first, and then my husband, and then Hannah would talk last. But then I wanted to switch it to time with God because I wanted you all to take away this key point. Of course, eating healthy, eating good is very important. Exercising is very important. But overall, your spiritual well-being is very important to maintain or practice those things, right? And so, Physical health, obviously exercising. Mental health, meditating, listening to your messages, reading Bible, spending time with God. Spiritual health, praying, reading scripture. Social health, connecting with virtually loved ones and playing games or whatever it may be to build a community, right? But I must say that I work for, I'm working as a hospice program director, and we see at least 1 or 2 deaths per day in our department. These patients stay there, get connected with my nurses, nursing assistants, and the housekeeping staff, everyone. All of a sudden, Friday, they're fine talking. Monday we come, they're no more. They pass away. Right after the patients pass away, at least 1 or 2 of my nursing staff call out sick because emotionally they are drained out, okay? They become compassionate fatigue. They get burned out, or they are emotionally unstable, okay? And so 1 or 2 of my nurses, especially one nurse, every day she comes fresh off the, just like a fresh apple out of the fridge. She would be strong, happy, be of that same support that she was providing. And one day I pulled her over and I asked her, how come even dealing with all these type of patients, we call the dying patients transitioning patients, patients who are transitioning, dealing with them, you are able to be back and up and running. And you know what she said? Dr. Joy, I spend a lot of time on my knees praying every day. I exercise daily, even after my work, and I eat very healthy. Everybody's medication cart would have a coffee cup. I would not see it on her. She would have hot water cup, just water, okay? Everybody would be chewing candies, chewing gums. I would see her just normal, talking, smiling, It plays a huge role on how you can be emotionally drained out if you are not connected with God. If you're automatically connected with God, you eat healthy, you want to do the right thing, and you will exercise to take care of your body. Spiritual fitness is very, very important, right? And so famous Christian athletics, when you talk to them, they say, of course, their coaches always talk about diet to them, right? Diet is key component of their athlete, whatever sports they are in. And obviously, they have to do a lot of exercise. But they also say that prayer, meditation, and connection with God and their faith is also, a prize for their success. Now, for physical training, you need to make sure, you need to understand that God made our bodies, right? We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We belong to Him, okay? We are not our own. We are bought with a price, so glorify God in your body. Time with God can significantly improve physical fitness. My mom, she's more than 75 years old. If you see her all night, she would be either on her knees, holding the Bible and praying, or she would call someone and she would be connecting and praying, and she would eat healthy. She eats probably 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day, and she would eat healthy. And then she would be active, physically active. She would be trying to do something or the other. Wintertime, summertime, she's either gardening, planting. And then on top of that, when I take the dog for a walk, she wants to come for a walk with me because she needs that connection. She is connected to God. Automatically, everything else flows in place. Time with God. So as friends and fellow worshipers here, I emphasize to think of a holistic approach to well-being. Studies have shown that prayer, meditation, scripture reading are seen to enhance motivation, discipline, and a healthy mindset for physical activity. Prioritizing godliness is important. Most profitable with faith, providing spiritual, emotional support that can indirectly benefit our health. So, again, several research studies, Hannah, anytime she gives you presentation, she would give you data, right? Data. Research has shown you this, and she shows the percentage. Eating healthy, exercising, and I can provide you data after data that there are a lot of people who spend time with God automatically will get rejuvenated, will have that energy, and spiritual discipline, will be disciplined to manage their day-to-day activities, including exercise and eating healthy. So, the key takeaway points are, ask God for helping you. Early morning, you want to wake up and say, God, help me to do this. Help me to do this exercise. Help me to eat healthy. Help me to walk. I intend to walk at least, 30 minutes per day. We all are lazy. We all want to be in bed, but just get up and move. You ask God for, for pushing you. God will help you. He will guide you through with every little thing that you want to do in your life. And also, God will give you to help you to focus and create a positive and sustained approach to fitness. You need discipline and endurance, and therefore, you need to make sure that you ask God for that discipline and endurance. Self-control, patience, and sacrifice. To do a healthy diet, to exercise, and to have time with God, you need to sacrifice time. You need to sacrifice a lot of other activities that you're doing. You need to have patience, and you also need to have self-control. So, how can prayer improve fitness commitment? Prayer enhances mindfulness and focus, reducing the stress that often leads to binge eating or skipped workouts. Additionally, you will also have goal. In 2022, study from Duke University linked spiritual practices with improved health regulation and reduced anxiety. So we have to prioritize physical fitness. Okay, should we? Yes, we do. Holistic view of the body. We all know that our body is the temple of God, and we want to respect that, and we want to promote it by balancing our body, by exercising, meditation, and healthy diet. Okay? So, create a morning devotion and workout ritual. Make sure you get your rest as needed. Write down in your journal what you want to do. What are the spiritual practices that you want to do? Join a faith-based fitness group and celebrate your body, which is the temple of God. Okay? The key takeaways: treat your body like a temple of God. Use prayer and scripture as motivational tools. Build discipline across both physical and spiritual dimensions, integrating health as a spiritual practice. And align your health journey with your walk with God for deeper meaning and long-term results. Questions? All right, thank you all. Thank you. Let's close with a prayer. Pastor? Oh, he says not to disturb you. I'll close with prayer. Almighty Father in heaven, we want to thank you for this day. Father God, we want to thank you for this opportunity where we can share our testimonies and what we know to our fellow church members and our friends and families. Be with us, guide us, help us to eat healthy, help us to exercise, help us to spend time with you. And when we spend time with you, we know that everything else flows well in our life. You can organize our body and our time. Dear God, bless each and every one of us. Help us to live healthy as we disperse from here. I pray that you will be with us, go with us, surround us, and fill us with your love and compassion. Until you come, keep us safe. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.